All right, let's talk about Gotham Knights. I mean, what is going on with Gotham Knights? And I would love to know what your guys' reaction is to Gotham Knights right now. So, I know Gotham Knights is coming out. I think the release date is the 27th, or is that Call of Duty? Or did they push Gotham Knights release date back? Or maybe it's like the 23rd. It's right around the corner. And it's a game that I'm honestly I am still excited for. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say just because of the 30 FPS, I'm completely not excited for it. But so October 21st is when it comes out. So it's even closer than I thought. So it's a game that I'm excited for. When they first showed it off, I was one of those people that were like, okay, this game looks cool. Like, it looks like it's going to be an Arkham style game with all of the different characters. And you're going to have multiple different styles of combat. And they showed off more of the gameplay and like the skill tree and the RPG mechanics for it. And I was pretty excited for it. Like, it's a game that I am looking forward to. In fact, actually, you guys are going to laugh at me now because of everything that's going on, but I actually have the collector's edition pre-ordered. And I just pre-ordered it because in case I decide I want to keep it, I pre-order them, and then I usually cancel the ones that I don't want to keep. But I pre-ordered it, and like that statue that comes with Gotham Knights has me extremely excited that I want that thing. But we'll see. I'll probably keep it, maybe do an unboxing on this channel of it and show you guys everything that comes with it. But it's a game I'm excited for. Not gonna lie, it's a game I'm excited for. And then we got this news that came out yesterday, I believe. And it's WB Games Montreal confirming that Gotham Knights on consoles will run at 30 frames per second with no performance or quality mode. And this is the post. Who is this from? Flaua Marty. I absolutely butchered that name. I can speak a little bit of French. I can speak a bit of French, but I just butchered that. And she says here, hello everyone. I know many of you are wondering about the availability of a performance mode for Gotham Knights on consoles. Due to the types... I'll turn that down a little bit here for you guys. Due to the types of features we have in our game, like providing a fully untethered co-op experience in our highly detailed open world, it's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance quality toggle option and will run at 30 frames per second on console, which is definitely something extremely... When I first saw that, my initial reaction was just of pure disappointment, especially in today's day and age with these consoles, that pretty much every game that is coming out has that toggle for quality and performance mode, and it makes a big difference. It really, really does. I generally play in performance mode, rarely playing quality. I do turn on quality to see like how good the game can potentially look, but it's just so jarring going from 60 to 30 frames per second when you've been playing in 60 frames per second for a very long time. So this is extremely disappointing, especially if there's going to be like fast-paced combat. 30 frames per second is going to hurt it. The only, I guess, saving grace you could say for this is that I believe all the Arkham games were in 30 frames per second. So if you're a huge fan of the Arkham series, you're going to be going and having the same style of performance for Gotham Knights. But it's a very odd decision. And my theory on this, with them sticking to that 30 frames per second, is that they obviously made decisions from the ground up of building this game that has forced them to have this sort of release, I guess, with not being able to give a performance or quality mode. They haven't been able to build it in and make it stable enough to be able to release this with having a performance mode, knowing that the frame drops aren't going to be just absolutely insane. That's going to hinder the experience. And it's also a game that they've actually, instead of delaying it, they made the release date earlier from that. I think it was an October 27th release date or something like that, probably because they didn't want to be right on the same time as Call of Duty. But man, this is disappointing for sure. And it's also kind of shortchanging console players, because I believe on PC you're getting 60 frames per second, and the console version of this game is $10 more. So it's just a weird thing, and people are calling like, just don't pre-order it, don't buy it on console. And honestly, like, yeah, if you can't stand 30 frames per second, I would not suggest picking this game up at launch. And it's almost seeming like they're not even going to be able to add a patch in for it to bring it to 60 frames per second. Because at the end of the day, we've seen so many games that look incredible have performance modes, bringing it down to 1080p, dynamic resolutions, and making sure that it hits 60 frames per second. So I'm not sure what's going on here with W Montreal, but it's a really, really odd decision. They're almost making this thing dead on arrival for a lot of people. But I saw other arguments out there that do make some sense. I would kind of agree with it, with the fact that Gotham Knights is probably trying to appeal to a crowd that doesn't really follow the industry as closely as a lot of people. They may not even notice the 30 frames per second. So they're probably trying to just kind of piggyback off of the Batman Arkham fans and hopefully just get sales based off of the hype that it is Gotham Knights and it is that style of an IP. It's a superhero game. So a lot of people won't even think about this. But the other thing that I think is even worse than them releasing this game at 30 frames per second, yeah, that's like embarrassing for this generation with the Series X and the PS5. The thing I think is that's even worse. They're obviously were trying their best to hide this as long as possible. With the release date 6 days away, they did everything in their power to hide this from people. And I'm sure once all the reviews come out, it's going to be a massive point of reviews where they talk about how it's only 30 frames per second. But you're going to have a lot of people also reviewing this on PC and not even mentioning it. So it's a very odd thing going on here. But I have to say, I still do want to play it. I don't know. It's just like it's a game that I am excited for. This was just definitely a disappointment. But yeah, there's no real excuse for this. I can't think of very many excuses for why they would want to put this at 30 frames per second. You have this tweet here. Gotham Knights was first teased 3 whole years ago. How could they not get this right? WB Games Montreal really fumbled the bag. Get with the times. There is no AAA current gen games that only run at 30 frames per second. And I think they're in their trailer. They kind of showed off like performance or whatever, and they mentioned that. I saw another tweet about that showing that they were highlighting the performance of the game. And another thing, I thought they were going to bring this out onto PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but they decided not to have that anymore. Yet they're still not hitting the 60 frames per second. There's a tweet here that I saw. Do I have it up here? I could have it up. It was from Colt. Here it is. So when we look here at the PC specs, lowest common denominator for Gotham Knights is not the Xbox Series S. It is the 1660 Ti or the AMD Radeon RX 590. So it doesn't. This argument that people still do today that the Xbox Series S is holding generations back is just like, how many times have games been released that have had multiple different modes that allow the Series S to run at 60 frames per second? It happens all the time, so it doesn't make any sense. It's such a bogus argument, and people are going to continue to push that argument forward for absolutely no reason. The Series S is literally the best deal in gaming. It's incredible. I use my Series S all the time. Absolutely love it, and I'm very happy that they released it. So the argument that the Series S holds back the platform or holds back the generation is still, it's just such a stupid argument. And I guess, yeah, you're looking at the GPU here, which is less powerful slightly, I think, than the Series S. And it's running at 60 frames per second on PC. So, and then this here, this is the other thing. Steam, $80 or $60 for the Gotham Knights on PC. Series XS and PS5, $70. Locked at 30 frames per second.